Hello and welcome to Global Math Mentor. In this video, we'll be working through Module 1 of the Math section from Practice Test 5 of the Digital SAT. I'll solve each question step by step, explaining the logic, shortcuts, and strategies you can use to save time and avoid mistakes. Whether you're preparing for your upcoming SAT or just want to strengthen your math skills, this is for you. Let's go. So you should be familiar with the directions which are given on the front page. The question in this section address a number of important math skills. Use of calculator is permitted for all questions. And there are some notes. Let's quickly take a look at these. Unless otherwise indicated, all variables and expressions represent real numbers. That's it. Figures provided are drawn to scale. Okay. All figures lie in the plane. The domain of given function f is the set of all real numbers x for which fx is a real number. So if the no domain is given, we'll consider real numbers to be the domain of the function. Let's quickly take a look at all the formulas which are given on the math section. There's circle area, rectangle, triangle, Pythagoras, special right triangles, volumes of cuboid, cylinder, sphere, cone, pyramid. And it's given as well in the end, the number of degrees of arcs in a circle is 360. And in radians, it's a 2 pi. And the sum of the angles of the triangle is 180. Question 1. The graph of the system of linear equation and a nonlinear equation is shown. So you can see there's a line, this one is a line, and this one is linear and nonlinear. All right. So just get familiar with the curves and the lines. What is the solution xy to this system? So we know that point of intersection is the solution. So 4 and 5, right? So C should be the correct answer. Question 2. On the first day of a semester, a film club has 90 members. So let me just highlight 90 members. Each day after the first day of the semester, 10 new members join the film club. So 90 members initially, and then each day 10 new members join. So what does it look like? It's a linear model. So get yourself familiar with linear model, just like y equals to mx plus c. This is a linear model. So each day, 10 new members. If no member leave the film club, how many total members will the film club have? 4 days. So we need 4 days here. So 4 times 10 is a 40 and plus 90. That's going to be 130. B is the correct answer. Question 3. The graph of a linear function f is shown, where y equals to f of x. What is the y-intercept of the graph of f? So it's a linear function. What is the y-intercept? I can see that it's 8. So the x-coordinate is 0, so 0, 8. D is the correct answer. Question 4. So I've given a set of equations S plus 7R equals 27 and R equals to 3. What is the solution RS to the given system of equations? Now, this is what is interesting about the new digital SAT. So I don't need to solve these equations actually. All I need to know is that like the X coordinate is R and the Y coordinate is S. So I can write these equation quickly like X equals to 3 and Y plus 7X equals 27. So I can feed them in Desmos graphing calculator. Let me just open the graphing calculator and I'm going to type these equations. That is x equals 3 and the other one is y plus 7x equals 27. So I've typed them. Let's take a look at the point of intersection. So I'm going to zoom this out a bit. And this over here is the point of intersection. Can you see it clearly? It's given there. So B is the correct answer. The table shows selected values from function f. There are some x values I can see and y values, function values. Which of the following is the best description of function f? A, decreasing linear, B, increasing linear, C, decreasing exponential, or increasing exponential. Now you might be thinking like, how can we judge the shape of the graph on base of the table. So one way which I don't recommend is that you can just plot these points, the coordinates in Desmos, and try to see what kind of a shape it makes. But I highly recommend that some things can just be done manually. There is no mark for method, so it's just the correct answer. So -1 gives me a 16, 0 gives me a 17, 1 gives me 18. Well, I can sense it's increasing, and 2 gives me a 19. So it's just a linear growth. So increasing linear. B is the correct answer, right? So try finding ways which works, the quicker ones, because time is really precious on the SAT. Question 6. So we can see this graph, two lines intersecting. So the question says the graph of system of linear equations is shown. The solution to the system equation solution. What is the value of x? So this is the solution. So the x coordinate is 4 and the y coordinate is 1. So we need just the x value. So x equals to 4. So this is one of those student response questions. So you need to put the correct answer in the given box. So question 7 is again a student response question. So there are no options this time. We just need the correct answer. So I've given some numbers 23, 27, 27, 32, 35, 36, 52. So that's a good thing that they are given in ascending order. What is the range of the seven scores shown? So range is just the maximum value minus the minimum value. So you just need to subtract this. This is going to be 9 and 29. That's the range. Okay. Question 8. So I can see these lines M and N, and there's another one K, not drawn to scale. In the figure, the line M is parallel to line N. So unless until the question says you will not assume that these lines are parallel since it's given, so I know they are parallel. And line K intersects both lines. So there's another line which intersects. Which of the following is statement is true? Okay. The value of x is less than 145. X over here. Oh, isn't that a vertically opposite angle? So they should be equal. The value of x is greater than, no, ballpark, ballpark. So you can just cross out the wrong options. The value of x is equal to 145. That is the correct answer. And obviously, value of x cannot determine this is wrong as well. C is the correct answer. Question 9. The equation x plus y equals to a 1440 represents the number of minutes of daylight, okay, between sunrise and sunset, x. So this x is the minutes of daylight between sunrise and sunset. And the number of minutes of non-daylight, y. Okay, so there is like minutes of daylight and minutes of non-daylight, okay, on a particular day in Oak Park, Illinois. If this day has 670 minutes of daylight, okay, how many minutes of non-daylight? So we need y. So it's going to be 1440 and take out 670. I can just use the graphing calculator to get this value. So it's going to be 1440 minus 670. So that's answer is 770. B is the correct answer. Question 10. Scott selected 20 employees at random from the 400 employees at a company. He found that 16 of the employees in the sample are enrolled in exactly 3 professional development courses this year. So 16 employees out of 20 are enrolled. So this is like the fraction of out of this sample of 2016 are there. So based on Scott's finding, which of the following is the best estimate of the number of employees at a company who are enrolled in exactly 3 professional development courses? So out of these 400, how can you estimate? So what exactly is that number? So you can do these proportion problems by equating ratio. So I just need to cross multiply 16 over 20 times the 400. So why using manual calculations? I can use Desmos for this one. So I can do 16 times the 400. That's 6,400. So now I can do 6,400 and divide that by 20. So that's 320. So B is the correct answer. Question 11. If 4x minus 28 equals to negative 24, that's the linear equation. What is the value of x minus 7? So I can use my calculator to solve any linear equation. Let's see. That's going to be 4x minus 28 and put it equal to a negative 24. Let's take what's the solution. So the x-intercept is the solution. So I can see that x equals to 1 is the solution to this equation. But I need the value of x minus 7. So 1 minus 7 is going to be a negative 6. So C is the correct answer. Question 12. For a snowstorm in a certain town, the minimum rate of snowfall recorded was this. So the minimum rate of snowfall recorded was 0.6 inch per hour. And the maximum rate of snowfall, there's another one. Maximum rate of snowfall is 1.8 inch per hour. So it's minimum and maximum given. Which inequality is true for all values of S, where S represents the rate of snowfall in inch per hour recorded for this snowstorm? Oh, that's easy. Incorrect, incorrect. No, 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 that's incorrect. This is correct. So the minimum is 0.6 and the maximum is 1.8. D is the correct answer. Question 13. A solution to the given system of equation is xy, where x is greater than 0. What is the value of x? So let's open the graphing calculator and feed these equations. Y equals to 4x. That's a line. And the second one is a quadratic curve. Y equals to x squared and minus a 12. So I need to check the point of intersections. Let's quickly check the point of intersection. So there is a 624 and a minus 2, 8. Since x is greater than 0, there are two possible values of x, minus 2 and 6. So x is either minus 2 or x is 6, but this one is rejected since x is greater than 0. So x equals to 6 is the correct answer. Question 14. A store sells two different size containers of blueberries. The store sales of these blueberries totaled $896.86 last month. The equation 4.51x plus 6.07y equals this total, which is given. So 4.51x plus 6.07y equals to 896.86, which is a linear equation and represents this situation. So what is this situation? It's the total amount earned from sales, where x is the number of small containers and y is the number of large containers. So according to the equation, what is the price in dollar of each small container? You can see that this is the quantity of small container and this is the coefficient. So this is the price of one small container and similarly, this is the price of one large. They have asked us to find the what is the price in dollars of each small container. So 4.51 is the correct answer. Question 15. A right circular cylinder has a base diameter of 22 centimeter and a height of 6 centimeter. So what is the volume in cubic centimeter of the cylinder? So I need to calculate the volume of the cylinder. You can check in the start of the video. I shared the page which contain all the formulas and the formula for cylinder is given there as well. So volume, we need to find. So the radius is going to be 11 since the diameter is 22 centimeter and the height is 6. So this is 6. Check the formula for the volume of the cylinders. It's pi r squared and h. I do not need to put in the value of pi since pi is given as a coefficient in each of the options. Let's go to the calculator and 11 squared times a 6, which is 726 pi. So you can see that C is the correct answer. Question 16. The graph of a rational function f is shown where y equals to f of x and the domain is given x greater than or equal to 0. Which of the following is the graph of y equals to f of x plus 5? So this is the graph of y equals to f of x. You need to get yourself familiar with the transformation. So what kind of a transformation is plus 5? It takes the graph upwards by 5. So 5 units upwards. So I just need to pick a point and see like, obviously this is incorrect. I know for sure this is almost the same. I can tell clearly by that D is the correct answer, but still I want to help you like how to identify exactly what happened. So you can see that this point over here is a 9. So, and this is a 1. So you can check that on 9, instead of a 1, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it's 9 and a 6. So 9, 1 becomes a 9, 6. So the y coordinate has ascended 5 units upward. So D is the correct answer. Question 17. At a particular track meet, the ratio of coaches to athletes is 1 to 26. So coaches to athlete is 1 over 26. Remember, ratios are just fractions. If there are X coaches at the track, meet. Which of the following expression represents the number of athletes at the track? So coaches is X and athlete, we don't know. It's a 126. Just cross multiply. So athletes will be 26X. So B is the correct answer. Question 18. Kilani used fabric measuring 5 yards in length. So fabric measuring 5 yards in length to make each suit for men's choir. The relationship between the number of suits that Kelani made X. So number of suits is X and the total length of the fabric that she used is Y. So the total length of the fabric is Y in yards is represented by the equation y minus 5x equals to 6. What is the best interpretation of 6 in the context? So this is a linear model again. So it's better to write it like this. So it's 5 yards of cloth for each men's suit and plus 6. So let's see what are the options. A. Kelani made 6 suits. Uh, doesn't seem correct. Kelani purchased a total of 6 yards of fabric. Nowhere does it say how many yards did she buy. Yeah, she used 5 yards for each suit. So this doesn't look correct as well. C. Kelani used a total of 6 yards of fabric to make the suits. Kelani purchased 6 yards more fabric than she used to make a suit. Yeah, this is the correct answer, D. Reason that she used this much for each suit and a plus 6. So 6 yards more fabric than she used to make the suit. Question 19. What is the value of tan 92 pi divide 3? There are some options. For questions like these, just go to the graphing calculator and check the functions. So you can see tan, and I can put 92 pi divide 3. Well, you can see that it's not giving me an exact answer, but this is sure that A and B, either of them is the correct answer. C and D are not correct since they are positive value. So if you do not know that this is actually the value of square root 3, you can just put this value in your calculator and check that is square root 3. And you can check the other option as well. That will not be the correct answer. So A is the correct answer for this question. Question 20 shows a right triangle. The hypotenuse is 28. The adjacent side to the angle x is 11. Figure not drawn to scale. In the triangle shown, what is the value of cosine x? So cosine of x is a ratio, adjacent, divide hypotenuse. This should be your answer. Question 21. The function g is defined by, so you can write this function. G of x is x plus 14 and some alphabet t minus x, where t is a constant. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals g of x passes to the point 24, 0. What is the value of g of 0? In order to get the value of g of 0, you need to get this alphabet t. For that, I'm going to use this. Remember, the y value is g of x. So in place of g of x, you can put a 0. And in place of x, you can put 24 and add 14 to it and t minus a 24. Let's quickly get this. It's going to be 38 times t minus 24. Well, if you divide both sides with 38, you get rid of this 38 and t equals to 24. That's the value. So now I can write my function in terms of x only, x plus 14 and 24 minus x. So now you need g of 0. So in place of x, you put 0, you'll just be left with 14 times the 24. Let's get this value. So what is 14 times a 24? That's 336. So 336 is the correct answer for question 21. Question 22. So we have x plus 4 whole squared plus y minus 19 whole squared equals to 121. The graph of the given equation is a circle in the xy plane. The key is to recognize the equation of circle when you look at it. The point AB lies on the circle. When they say lie on the circle, it means this point is on the circumference of the circle. Which of the following is a possible value of A? If you run out of ideas, it's better to sketch the circle and see how does it go, because I need the possibility for the x coordinate. The center is a negative 4 and 19, and the radius is 11. So I just need the extreme values for x and see which one works. So minus 4 plus 11 is a 7. B, this is one possibility. And minus 4 minus 11 is a negative 15 and a B, right? So let's see. My A is within a max 7 and a minimum minus 15. See which one works. Does not work. Works. Does not work. Does not work. So B is the correct answer. Question 23. A right rectangular prism has a height of 9 inches. The length of the prism's base is x inches, which is 7 inches more than the width of the prism. For these kind of questions, I highly encourage make like a rough diagram just to see clearly which side is which one. So this is 9 inches and the length is x inches, and this is 7 inches more than the width of the prism. So the width is 7 less than x. So x minus 7 is going to be the width. Okay. Which function V gives the volume of the prism in cubic inches in terms of length of the prism? So I need the volume. So volume of a rectangular prism is just multiply each of the given sides, or you can say base area times height. So multiply these 9 times x minus 7 and times x. Quickly see which one works, which one works. So D is the correct answer. Question 24. Which of the following functions have a minimum value at minus 3? So the first function is exponential function with a negative 6 coefficient, so it's decreasing exponential, and minus 3 means it is translated 3 units downward. So that's like a more detailed analysis of function in terms of transformation. And the other one is again an exponential function with a negative 3 coefficient. So, well, what do you know? None of these have any minimum values. Whether you have an increasing exponential function or a decreasing exponential function, they do not possess any minimum value. So I know that neither one nor two will have a minimum value. But what's like the other way of answering this question, which you can do? You can go to the graphing calculator and do minus 6 bracket 3 and put the raised to power button x and then put a minus 3. So you can check this is one of the exponential function and the other one is minus 3 and then 6. So I really encourage you all to get familiar with Desmos and start practicing on it, because you have to be fluent with using this graphing application. So do you observe something? None of these exponential functions have any minimum value. They either decrease infinitely or increase infinitely. So the answer is D. Question 25. The result of increasing the quantity x by 400% is 60. So you are increasing x by 400%. So add 400 to 100. That's equivalent to multiplying x with a 500%. That will increase it by 400%. So this is equal to 60. Then x is going to be, this is 500 and divide 100 because you need to get rid of this percentage, 60. So x is going to be 12. So A is the correct answer. There are other ways in which you can first find 400% of x and then add x to it, but this is a quicker way of doing. Similarly, if you want to decrease something in some percentage, just minus that from 100 and get that percentage. Question 26. The function f is defined by f of x, ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is a standard quadratic function where a, b, and c are constants. The graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane passes through the point 7, 0 and minus 3, 0. What do you observe about these points? These are on the x-axis. So the points where any graph intersects the x-axis are the solutions to the equation. So I know that this is going to be 7 and this is a negative 3. If a is an integer greater than 1, which of the following could be the value of a plus b? So we need to get this b and then a and add them together and see what possibly could be the value. This is an interesting problem. Towards the end, you can get harder questions on the SAT. So I'm going to give you some variations to solve this question. So the way one I am thinking about is the x coordinate of the vertex is exactly in the middle of the roots. The x coordinate of the vertex, the turning point. So if you add them and divide by 2, it's going to be a 2. So I know that the x coordinate of the turning point is 2. And I don't have the y coordinate right now, but I'm just telling you. So if I have this 2, I know that the x coordinate of turning point can be deduced by this formula, x equals to minus b over 2a in a quadratic function. So if you put this 2 and minus b over 2a, so the value of b is going to be a negative 4a. So now I know that a plus b is actually a negative 3a. And then I can proceed with the answer, which I will just tell you in a minute. What is way two of getting this same question correct? So if you have studied the idea of sum of roots, so I know that sum of roots is a negative b over a, not just for quadratic polynomials, but higher degree polynomials as well. But this is a quadratic one, so I know that minus b over a is a sum of roots. So minus b over a, if you put it equal to, let's say the sum of roots is minus 3 plus 7 is a 4. So again, you will get b equals to minus 4a, and then you can proceed with the same idea. And another way of doing this same thing, if you get stuck somewhere on such a problem where you run out of ideas, you can use these strategies. So way three is you can write the roots, since I know that one of the root is a minus 3 and the other one is a 7. So way three can be, you can write the factors x plus 3 and x minus 7. And if you expand this, x squared minus 4x minus 21, and you will yourself figure out that in place of b, I have a negative 4a. So I hope these ideas will help you in such problems. So now we come to the sum part. Sum is a negative 3a and a is an integer greater than 1. So if you put a 2, you get a negative 6. If you put a 3, you get a negative 9. So you'll get a lot of bigger negative numbers. So the only possibility right now which fits in if a is 2 is a negative 6. So a should be the correct answer. These C and D are clearly wrong, since negative 3 times a positive number can never be positive. So, and negative 3 does not is not correct, because negative 3 times 1 is a negative 3, but a is more than 1. So a is the only correct possibility for this question. Question 27. The function g is defined by g of x as x times x minus 2 and times x plus 6 whole square. The value of g of 7 minus w is 0. So if you switch your x value with the 7 minus w, you get a 0, where w is a constant. What is the sum of all possible values of W. So let's quickly switch the x's with the 7 minus W. And this is going to be 7 minus W minus 2 and 7 minus W plus 6 whole squared. Now, remember, you don't need to expand these brackets. This is already a factorized form. So put each of the factor equals to 0. You'll get W equals to 7. This is a 5 minus W. This one, the second one. So W equals to 5. That's the second value. And 13 minus W whole squared equals to 0. And you know that you can square root and get rid of the square. So W is a 13. So these are all the possible values of W. Let's just add them all. 13 and 7, 20, and plus 5 is a 25. So that's the last question on the test. And that wraps up our final question for today. I hope you found this walkthrough helpful and you're feeling more confident tackling these types of problems on your own. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on the next part of this video, which will be the module 2 of the practice test 5 of the SAT Digital. Over and out.